Most people do not live their lives. They endure them. They drift from obligation to obligation, distraction to distraction, fear to fear, and then wonder why they feel empty, anxious, and powerless. And Seneca would say the reason is simple: they have surrendered command of their own minds. Seneca was not writing philosophy to make people feel better. He was writing to wake them up. And if his words feel uncomfortable, even hostile, that is because they are meant to expose weakness, not comfort it. Seneca believed that the greatest prison is not built with walls, but with dependence. Dependence on approval, comfort, pleasure, status, money, and the opinions of others. And modern life has perfected this prison so well that most people don't even realize they are trapped inside it. Look at your average day. You wake up already reacting. Notifications, emails, expectations, pressure. You rush through tasks you didn't choose, chasing goals you didn't define, comparing yourself to people you don't know, fearing outcomes that haven't happened. Seneca would not call this living. He would call it obedience. One of Seneca's most ruthless teachings is this: you are not disturbed by events themselves, but by your judgment of them. That sounds simple, but it is devastating when you truly understand it, because it means your anxiety, anger, jealousy, and despair are not imposed on you. They are manufactured by your own mind. Think about modern anxiety. People suffer sleepless nights over job security, relationships, money, and the future. Yet most of what they fear never actually happens. Seneca warned that humans suffer more in imagination than in reality, and modern society has turned imagination into a torture device. A single email not replied to becomes rejection. A single mistake becomes a catastrophe. A single setback becomes a personal identity crisis. Seneca would say this is not sensitivity, it is lack of mental discipline. He believed that if you do not train your mind before adversity arrives, you will collapse when it does. Stoicism is not something you use when life breaks you. It is something you build so life cannot break you. Seneca also attacked the way people waste their lives without realizing it. He famously said that life is not short. We make it short by squandering it. And modern life is a masterclass in squandering time. Hours vanish into scrolling, gossip, meaningless arguments, shallow entertainment, and emotional drama. People protect their money fiercely but give away their time, their life, without resistance. Seneca would ask you a brutal question. If time is your life, why do you let it be stolen so easily? Every unnecessary distraction is a silent agreement to live less. One of the most misunderstood parts of Seneca's philosophy is his stance on wealth. He was rich, powerful, influential, and yet he warned that wealth is dangerous not because it exists, but because people attach their identity to it. Seneca did not say money is evil, he said dependence is. If you cannot lose something without losing your inner stability, then that thing owns you. Translate that to modern life. If your sense of worth collapses when your job title disappears, if your confidence depends on income, lifestyle, or social validation, then you are not successful. You are fragile, and fragile people live in constant fear. Seneca trained himself to endure discomfort on purpose. He slept on hard surfaces, ate simple food, lived below his means at times, not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he wanted proof that comfort was not necessary for strength. Today, this looks like resisting constant stimulation, choosing discipline when indulgence is available, sitting with boredom without escaping into screens, facing silence without panic. Most people fail here. That is why most people are controlled. Look at a modern, real-life example. Two people lose their jobs. One panics, spirals, feels humiliated and mentally collapses. The other feels fear but stays grounded, calm and strategic. Same event, completely different outcome. Seneca would say the difference is not luck or intelligence, it is philosophical conditioning. Stoicism is preparation for loss before loss arrives. Seneca was merciless about emotional dependence in relationships. If your peace depends on another person's behavior, loyalty, or approval, then you have handed them power over your mind. Love without strength leads to obsession. Attachment without discipline leads to suffering. This does not mean emotional coldness. It means emotional sovereignty. You care deeply, but you do not beg for stability. You love, but you do not collapse. Seneca also warned against comparison, calling envy a corrosive disease of the soul. Today, comparison has become constant. Social media floods your mind with curated illusions of success, happiness, and perfection. You compare your real life to someone else's performance and feel inferior. Seneca would say this is insanity. You are measuring yourself against lies and weakening your own spirit in the process. True success, he taught, is not being admired. It is being unshaken when admiration disappears. He was equally brutal about pleasure. Pleasure is not evil, but when it becomes necessary, it weakens the will. Modern addiction is not just substances, it is comfort, convenience, distraction, and ease. A mind that cannot tolerate discomfort cannot tolerate truth. If you cannot sit alone with your thoughts, if silence makes you restless, if boredom terrifies you, then your mind is already owned by external stimulation. Seneca believed adversity is not an injustice, it is a test. Pressure reveals whether philosophy lives in your words or in your nervous system. Anyone can speak about Stoicism when life is smooth. The Stoic is revealed when insulted, rejected, betrayed, or stripped of comfort. Criticism, failure, loss, these are not attacks. They are examinations, and most people fail them because they never trained. Seneca's solution was radical responsibility, not blame, not denial. Responsibility for your reactions, your habits, your attention, and your inner state. You stop demanding that the world adjust to you, and instead adjust yourself to reality. The highest power, Seneca taught, is not control over others, but command over yourself. In a world obsessed with influence, dominance, and image, this kind of power is invisible and unstoppable. Seneca spoke openly about death, not to create fear, but to eliminate it. Remembering death sharpens life. When you truly accept that everything ends, trivial worries lose their grip. Modern people fear death because they have never truly lived with intention. Ask yourself honestly, if today were your last day, would your anxieties still matter, or would you finally see how small they always were? Seneca did not offer comfort. He offered freedom, not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom from fear, dependence, and inner chaos. Stoicism is not emotional numbness. It is inner dominance. It is not suppression. It is mastery. And it is not weakness. It is the refusal to be ruled. If this philosophy unsettles you, that means it is working. Growth is not gentle. Transformation is not polite. Strength is forged through resistance. Subscribe to Stoic Gateway, where ancient wisdom is not used to entertain weak minds, but to forge disciplined ones. This is not motivation. This is mental sovereignty. Walk forward unshaken.